kicking off conversations from SHRM with Laura Maffucci, GP's head of HR, next on the podcast.
Welcome to RecTech, the podcast where recruiting and technology intersect. Each month, you'll hear from vendors shaping the recruiting world, along with recruiters who'll tell you how they use technology to hire talent. Now, here's your host, the mad scientist of online recruiting, Chris Russell.
Welcome back, RecTechies. It's Chris Russell here from RecTech Media. Just returned from SHRM Chicago, 26,000 HR pros sprawled across the McCormick Center place in Chicago there downtown, and a pretty big event. I forgot how big that show is. Just the sheer amount of people is incredible to see. From the expo floor, I was positioned at the GP booth, Globalization Partners, aka GP, and they generously gave me their podcast booth for the week to do some broadcasting from. So we're going to kick things off with Laura Maffucci. She is GP's head of HR. Enjoy the audio. And also thanks to my travel sponsor, JobCase, for helping me get there. All right, podcasting live from the GP booth here at SHRM24. And right now I've got Laura Maffucci. She is GP's head of HR, and she leads the company's global workforce, talent, and employee experience. She operates from a people-first mindset, it says, and strongly believes that diversity of thought is paramount for a healthy workplace. So Laura, welcome to the show.
Hi there, thank you. It's good to be here.
Just spoke on to the SHRM HR audience. Big crowd there.
Yeah, actually, it was it was standing room only, so it was a great crowd. Lots of taking pictures of the screen. So I think it really was a good session for people.
And how long have you been a GP? You'll start there.
It was 3 years on June 14th, so exactly 3 years.
And what's your background before that?
Before that, I was primarily in Total Rewards. Spent about 5 years at Ocean Spray Cranberries. Prior to that was at Aramark, WareGuard, and also have been in some tech companies like Genzabar and Progress Software. So lots of diverse background.
Yeah. And you spoke on AI today, I believe?
Yes.
About that. It's a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
How can HR leaders think about leveraging AI? Let's kind of start a kind of a broad question there.
Sure. I mean, I think it's easy to just think about things like how it can help administrative processes, talent assessment, scanning resumes, performance development, things like that. But I think they really need to take a step back and think about it strategically and how it can enable you to strategically partner with the business better, whether that is by freeing up administrative time so that you have that time to spend on other things, or look at ways you can expand globally, learn about other markets in other countries where you might need to find a specific talent pool, what the regulations are, labor laws, so you know if it's an area that you might want to expand to globally. So I think the possibilities are endless for how it can really enhance the strategic proposition of HR.
Awesome. And you guys announced AI-powered global hiring and onboarding, so let's get into that.
Sure, Gia. She is our AI-powered...
Gia?
Gia, yes. And she's pretty cool, and we just launched today AI-powered onboarding for our professionals. So our EOR customers, their professionals can onboard using the tool. It prompts you with questions, walks you through the hiring process so that you make sure you're entering everything compliantly, enables professionals to enroll in their benefits and payroll information, and have access to their information in real time, answering questions along the way. So it's really cool. And I think to date, Gia's already answered about 25,000 questions for our customers, and we just launched it, so it's pretty cool.
Is it a chatbot interface, or how does it work?
Actually, in the onboarding experience is an interactive onboarding experience. So as you're going through the process, it either prompts you with hot tips, information, or you ask questions as you go. If you hit a point in the process where you have a question about how to enter it, or what are the allowances required here, and it will prompt you back and tell you so that you know what you need to be inputting.
Let's step back a second too. Let's talk about GP in general. Mm-hmm. Employer of record company, it's kind of your main thing. What else do you guys do around your software product?
So we are an employer of record. That's on our EOR side of the business, enabling companies to expand globally. We also have a technology platform, and even with GIA as well, there's the employee contract generator, which is was a part of our platform before, but is enhanced now with the GIA product. So you can go in, do your global employees contracts, automate in an automated way, get them signed quickly, so you can get people onboarded fast.
Do you think GIA could ever be a voice technology, maybe a virtual HR voice?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's probably somewhere on the roadmap. I think that's the way for all AI. I think that the key to it is, people are messy, I always say, so you've always got to have that human interaction at a certain point, or in many cases. But I think the important thing to remember about AI is it can actually make you smarter. It can make you better. So people who are afraid of it, AI isn't going to necessarily replace jobs. It's going to replace people who don't know how to use AI. And I think we need to think about it the way, when they say to be a great leader, you surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Well, expand that out to technology tools and surround yourself with tools that make you smarter. And that's the way to really be successful and drive a high-performing organization.
Do you think AI will kind of be a must-have if companies want to attract talent in the future?
Absolutely. Especially with the younger generations, they have this baseline expectation of really up-and-coming technology. They expect flexibility. They really value work-life balance. And, this is the kind of thing where you're not going to find somebody who has 10 years of AI experience. It hasn't been around long enough to have 10 years. I can remember back hiring a social media specialist for the first time back in the early 2000s and getting a bunch of complaints in HR because there was somebody sitting on Facebook all day on their computer, So, I think it's a let go or be dragged kind of situation. I think companies, whether it's, your strategies are going to be different. Some companies like us are using it for product and also looking at ways to use it to enhance internal operations. And some companies, it might be one or the other. But I think it's going to touch every business in one way or another. There's no escape.
How do you think it's going to affect HR people going forward? Can you paint 5 years from now? How does the HR person do their job with AI? Maybe some thoughts around that.
Sure. Hopefully it's relieved a lot of the administrative, more tedious tasks and has allowed HR professionals and departments to really up-level and use it to enhance their knowledge and be better strategic partners to the business, add more value, focusing on really helping to optimize organizational design, lay out global growth strategies, design effective rewards and recognition programs, all of those things that are really important that require that human touch to it. I think it'll just better enable that if we use it the right way.
Do you see your job evolving as well as a...
Yeah, I think that especially if you're in a company where there is a product, and especially one like GP, it's always a smart thing to maybe have your own internal population test something before it goes out to market. So, we've had an opportunity to use GIA. I think Microsoft is a really good case study. They used it to transform their HR operations, and they really looked at how do you put the human into the flow of that work, and they had citizen developers, so people who weren't necessarily technologists from the HR department really involved in developing the tools that they're using internally. So I think if you look at it the right way and you embrace it, there's tons of opportunity there to use it for things like that.
How do you advise other HR leaders to go about kind of getting organizational buy-in for AI programs like GIA and others?
It's all about communication. Over-communicate, make sure people understand how the company views it, what they want to use it for, and how it can add value for them. And it's just all about doubling down on communication and change management, and helping, giving those. It's a great opportunity to give people a chance to learn a really hot skill in the market right now and for future years and future generations. So using it as a tool to develop people, provide new opportunities, and really making sure that you're transparent about it and communicating like any change. I think that's the most important thing. And I think critical thinking skills are also really important because you do have to be careful if people are just going out there to chat GPT and using it to write an email. Did you just input something that was confidential information that you shouldn't have? So, similar to like phishing tests that IT departments do to get that critical thinking muscle built, I think is really important as well.
So we're surrounded by all kinds of HR technology here. It's the role of the HR person and the recruiter today is much more of a technical person. You need that skill set too. Do you look for that when you're hiring for your team, things like that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I come from the Total Rewards and HRIS background, so I've always had HRIS associated, so I automatically think that way. But you can't, especially now, you can't be a really successful HR department unless you're metric-based, which is driven off of your technology, driven off of your data sets and things like that. So you definitely look for technical agility when hiring in all jobs, and especially HR, definitely.
What's the HR tech stack look like at GP there? Can you give us some names there?
Well, we are a Workday customer, so we have Workday, and we are, looking at ways we can pilot certain modules in our EOR platform. We obviously don't need an employer of record. We are an employer of record and hire globally, but there's things like we have a contractor product to enable companies to more easily pay their contractors. So there are, in the employee contract generator, there are opportunities there for us to leverage our own products or be a test case for those products because we are the customer. It's HR departments that are coming to GP. So,
how about remote work? Are you guys distributed at all, or in office?
We are as distributed as you can possibly get. We are 100% remote. We're remote first.
Okay.
And we have employees in over 40 countries. And so we are in pretty much every time zone, all over the world. So a lot of asynchronous work, and but somehow we are the most connected culture.
How do you stay connected in an environment like that?
This is going to sound cheesy, but I do think it comes down to the people. And I give the example of there's some people on my team who went and planned a girls' weekend together to go away together, and 3 of them had never met each other in person before. So to say that you can't make those connections when you're working remotely, that's just not true. You can. So if you've got the right people and they're truly engaged in what they're doing, and they're good people, and it's the right mix of individuals and personalities and work styles, magic can really happen, and it doesn't matter. I also have a theory that seeing each other only every once in a while, say for team offsites, or a few of my team are here at the conference today, it makes it special when you do get to spend time with them. They're not sitting next to you chewing ice at their desk. They're not microwaving fish. Like there's all those things like in the office that cause you just get that sick of the person. It's like it's a treat.
Quality time.
Yeah, it's more quality time. So no one will ever convince me that you're too disconnected when you work remotely, because we're proof of it. Proof otherwise.
You guys hiring at all?
Yeah, we're doing some a little bit of hiring in our, especially in our tech realm, really upping the game of the product, and we're continuously growing and expanding. I think when I started 3 years ago, there was about 400 employees, and now we're over 1,100 employees. So we've grown, and I think by the end of my first year, we were close to 1,000. So we've really grown really fast. What's
the big pitch to join GP? Well, if I was to ask you, what's your employer value proposition? What would you say to me?
Employee value proposition: remote first. Remote first is huge. Empowerment, kindness, and lots of opportunity for an entrepreneurial mindset. If you want to come in and make a difference and really change things and be a part of growing a fast-growing business, then it's the place for you.
Awesome. And what's the URL again?
gp.com, I believe now.
Yes. Just GP.com?
G-P.com.
Oh, G-P. Okay, there you go, folks.
Yeah.
With Laura, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
And appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Great to be here. Have a good day.
Looking for your next HR technology role? Go to your browser, type in hrtechjob.com, and browse hundreds of jobs with the best HR technology vendors. HR tech professionals finally have a dedicated job marketplace to find work or be found. Sign up for job alerts or post a resume. Discover jobs with companies like Workday, Phenom, HiBob, Deal, and more. You'll even find HR tech roles with employers in case you want to work with managing HCM or HRIS platforms. HR Tech Job, the only job market for HR technology careers. Join us at hrtechjob.com.
Another episode of RecTech is in the books. Follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Russell or visit rectechmedia.com, where you can find the audio and links for this show on our blog. RecTech Media helps keep employers and recruiters up to date through our podcasts, webinars, and articles. So be sure to check out our other sites, recruiting headlines, and HR podcasters to stay on top of recruiting industry trends. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon on the next episode of RecTech, the Recruiting Technology Podcast.